Today, we're going to look at a Stasis Hunter build that gives you amazing control over the battlefield with the use of all of our Stasis abilities and our weapon of choice. It can easily keep you and teammates alive inside of Legend Onslaught with its large amounts of damage reductions that it can provide, and allows you to clear waves of adds by tapping into the solar artifact mods from this season as well. This is probably the last build I do for Onslaught, as next week we're going to be taking a deep dive into one of our prismatic classes, and that is going to be the Warlocks. What we're going to do is we're going to go over it, and I'm going to make a theory crafted build for your day one playthrough of the final shape. So next week, look out for that. So if you want to watch that, of course, subscribe, as it's going to allow you to see that and more videos as we go into the final shape. Also, like the video, as that helps out a ton, helps the algorithm, helps more people see my videos at the end of the day. And comment what you're most excited to try when the final shape launches. With all of that being said, let's get right into this video. The exotic that we're going to be using for the build today is going to be an old Stasis Hunter classic, and that is going to be Renewal Graphs, which comes with the exotic trait Depths of Duskfield. Your Duskfield grenades have a much larger effect radius. Allies inside the Duskfield take reduced damage, and targets inside the area deal reduced damage. This will increase our Duskfield's area of effect by 25%, which may not seem like much, but it is very noticeable. While allies and even ourselves are inside our Duskfield grenades, we will also get 25% damage reduction while in PvE, and then 5% while in PvP. When enemies are inside our Duskfield, they deal 50% less damage in PvE and 20% in PvP. In PvE, that 50% less damage is amazing, especially in Onslaught when dealing with Tormentors or those shielded bombers. Also, while these exotics are equipped, our Duskfield will spawn a medium stasis crystal without the need of the aspect that would normally give them their stasis crystal. I have enjoyed these exotics the entire time they've ever been out. I can't remember when they actually came out, but these exotics have been amazing and have always been like the staple of a good Stasis Hunter build. So of course, we're going to touch on that for an Onslaught build, because survivability is honestly one of, if not the most important things in Onslaught, next to keeping your ADU alive. For weapons, this build is very simple, and I honestly thought at first I would have to make multiple weapon loadouts for different waves, but I did not. I used 2 loadouts for all 50 waves. For the normal waves, I took Aegir Scepter. This is an exotic stasis trace rifle that allows us to chain together stasis effects when defeating targets. It also reloads itself from reserves when we defeat a target with stasis damage. This played perfectly for this build and allowed me to lock down whole spawns by myself even well into wave 50. It also has a catalyst that lets you consume your super and supercharge the beam, but I didn't use it often unless it was by accident, because when you hold square, at least on console, on controller, when you hold your reload, your square, whatever that button is, to pick up an ADU battery, to grab the heavy ammo chest, it prioritizes the catalyst, meaning you're going to activate it, so you may as well use it because it's already going to chunk down your super. The other weapons I used in this particular loadout are going to be my summoner, as I got lucky and got heal clip and incandescent, so that adds to the survivability of this build and allows us to scorch targets, which makes ad clear just a little bit easier. And for heavy, I took my hullabaloo, because as a heavy arc waveframe grenade launcher with chain reaction, it's just amazing at clearing out whole waves by itself. I just stood there, watched a wave of ads spawn, dumped 2 GL shots, and everything would disappear. Now I know chain reaction is getting nerfed, but that is only on special grenade launchers like Forbearance. The heavy version of chain reaction is not getting touched. Now for boss waves, I literally just put on 2 random legendaries, and then I swapped to Leviathan's Breath, because Leviathan's Breath is amazing for boss damage in Onslaught, both regular and legend. It just chunks down those bosses even at wave 50. For our class setup, we're going to start with the aspect Grim Harvest. Defeating slowed or frozen combatants creates a stasis shard. These shards grant melee energy when picked up by you or your allies. Aegir Scepter will slow and freeze everything, so we'll make a ton of these stasis shards, which will help us spread more slow and freeze with our melees, as they will bounce between targets. And these stasis shards will come in handy when we go over our fragments in just a minute. And speaking of fragments, this aspect also gives us 3 fragment slots to play with, so that gives us more options for this build. Next, we're going to take Touch of Winter. Your Glacier, Dustfield, and Cold Snap grenades have enhanced functionality. For our Duskfield grenades, it's going to increase the slow field size and will create a small stasis crystal on impact. Everything from this aspect stacks with Renewal Grasp. This will increase our dusk field size by 75% when paired with Renewal Grasp, which makes it amazing. It makes it massive, and you can fit more people in for the damage resistance or fit more enemies in to reduce their damage. It also turns the Stasis crystal from a medium crystal to a large crystal, which is very, very nice, as the first fragment we're going to take is Whisper of Chains. While you are near a frozen target or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets with a +10 to our recovery. While we are within 10 meters of a crystal or that frozen target, we're going to get another 40% damage reduction, which does stack with Renewal Grasp's damage reduction from just standing in the dust field, which now also spawns its own crystal. So we're going to have both bonuses at once. Plus, with Aegir's always freezing targets, we're going to get that 40% damage reduction while we just clear waves. While we're in the mix, we're going to get that 40% damage reduction. Next, we're going to take Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional crystals increases the duration of this benefit. This is going to give us an increase of 500% to our base grenade regenerate when we destroy a stasis crystal. When our dusk field goes away, we have roughly 2 seconds to destroy the stasis crystal that it leaves behind, which is a very easy way to get this to work, and it also is going to give us our next dust field grenade faster. Also, the mods off the artifact are going to help a ton when it comes to generating stasis crystals, which is also going to be really helpful because we're going to take Whisper of Fissures. Increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. This is roughly a 12% bonus, which doesn't seem like much, but remember, with Aegir's, we're always going to be freezing and therefore shattering targets constantly, so that extra damage is super nice, especially when you freeze one thrall and then you shatter it and everything in that wave dies because of just the shattered damage. Now granted, shattered damage as a whole needs to be buffed, but this is actually pretty good. Next, we're going to take Whisper of Durance. Slow that you apply to targets lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, the duration will also increase with a +10 to our strength. Normally, our dust field stays around for roughly 5 seconds. With this fragment, this doubles to 10 seconds, meaning we're going to get more out of our dust field grenades. More time with the damage reduction, enemies are going to have more time dealing less damage to us, and overall, it is just really, really nice to have, as sometimes you just need that little extra time. Finally, we have Whisper of Rime. Collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional stasis shards adds to the overshield and refreshes the timer. While we have full health, this will add a 5 HP overshield for every stasis crystal we pick up, and while we are at full health, it will instead give us 5 HP. This will stack quickly due to Aegir Scepter, and when I assume the final shape comes out with Frost Armor, this will change to that. Also, if you feel like you don't need this, you can swap to Whisper of Torment for more grenade energy, as I bounce between the two pretty often, but when I settled on this being a quote-unquote unkillable build, I figured that Whisper of Rime might fit better here. For mods, starting with our helmet, we're going to take double harmonic siphon so Aegir's can make orbs, and because we have 2 of these, we're going to be the bigger orbs, which will feed us our super faster. And I took special ammo finder so we can always have ammo and not rely on the ammo crates. For arms, I have a double stack of grenade kickstart so we can consume armor charge stacks and get even more grenade energy back. I also have impact induction, so when our melee hits a target, we can get extra grenade energy, and since our melees can bounce between targets, we have a chance to get even more grenade energy. For our chest, I have charged up for more stacks of armor charge, and then our normal resist mods. For legs, I have elemental charge, so all the stasis shards we make will contribute to our armor charge stacks. I also have innervation for more grenade energy, and then I took harmonic scavengers, so when we do pick up ammos for Aegir's, we end up getting more. For boss waves, I just swapped to 3 void surge mods for Leviathan's Breath, and for our cloak, we have powerful attraction to pull orbs to us, outreach to help with our melee, although you can swap this for bomber if you really want, and then reaper to make orbs when we dodge. Our artifact has a lot of stuff we're taking advantage of. For our summoner, we have Kindling Trigger, Flint Striker, and Rays of Precision, as they all play heavily into solar. And for stasis, we have Torch, Pillar of Ice, and Hail the Storm, as these all pair greatly with our stasis and Aegir's Scepter. For stats, I prioritize Resilience and Discipline, as this is a build that wants us to stay alive and be unkillable, so we want our natural resistance high, and this is a grenade-based build, so we need the Discipline. Then I focus recovery for health, intellect for super, and then mobility and strength as they're not too crazy needed in this build. Overall, this build is actually really good, and I was very surprised by it as I hadn't used Renewal Grasp in quite some time, but that's all I'm going to say as this video has gone on for honestly longer than I intended. So please subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, we're going to be going over the prismatic subclasses in the next few weeks, in theory crafting some pretty good day one builds. Also, like the video as it helps me. The algorithm is going to push this video to other people who may want to see it. And of course, comment down below what you're really excited to use when the final shape drops. With all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.